Welcome back to the Haven Family Farm. Thanks so much for joining me for today's video. Today we are going to be welding and modifying a brand new tractor attachment. So a while back, regular viewers would have seen that I purchased this brand new Land Pride, call it a road grader, land plane, whatever you want to call it. People call it different things. It's a very nice unit. And what I had hoped to do, I bought the 3-point hitch style, and I bought that because number one, 3-point hitch implements are usually cheaper than skid steer quick attach implements. And number two, they are more readily available. The skid steer version of this, nobody had in stock, so this worked out better. I didn't want to wait forever. But I usually don't mind buying 3-point implements because I have adapters that will allow me to go from 3-point to quick attach for a skid steer. Now that doesn't always work, and that's what happened in this case. If you had watched that video, you would have seen me make that adaptation, and then I used this unit in the video some, and it worked pretty well. But I took it out to a project that I had, and the geometry of having the quick attach and everything on the front of this just didn't quite work out. Like, it got the job done, but it was kind of just cumbersome. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave the 3-point hitch side alone, and I bought some of these. These are pretty heavy. They're just blank quick attach plates at an auction. So what we're going to do is we're going to adapt this to this side of this unit. So that means we're going to have to put some steel going across here. We'll weld the plate to the steel, and then we'll have some braces as well. Now, as I said, Land Pride does make a skid steer version of this. And what I am doing, obviously it's not the exact same unit, but what I am doing is sort of following a little bit the picture of that unit. I'm kind of following some of the geometry and things on Land Pride's website. And if I remember, I will throw a picture in right here of what that unit is that I'm sort of copying. So there you go. That's what we're trying to replicate here, and it'll be pretty cool if I can get everything to work. Then we'll have a unit that will successfully do both skid steer, quick attach, and 3-point. It keeps it versatile when you're doing projects. A machine breaks down, you only have one machine available, whatever the case may be, it'll be versatile. So as I said, we have a quick attach plate here. I'm going to get it on the skid steer, get it hooked up to the skid steer, and I'm going to get pulled in here pretty close to where we're going to be and kind of figure out my angle. And then we're going to go to our wall of steel over here. We don't have a lot left. Excuse me. You know, from doing projects, and I haven't restocked it because the world has gotten expensive. But we're going to grab some stuff from over there to be able to cut and weld in here and then paint it all up, and we'll see what happens. So let's get this hooked on and get pulled up here. Okay, so we kind of got pulled up here, and looking at the pictures of the other unit, I wasn't sure whether the boom was all the way down, you know, that plate on the one that we're kind of replicating, and I don't believe it is. I think it's actually up probably 3 or 4 inches from the completely lowered position. So we'll have to kind of keep that in mind when we go to actually weld that plate on there. So now what we need to do is get some measurements and get some material cut so we can at least get our first cross piece, the one that's going to be mainly welded to there, so we can get that going. Whew, that was a workout, but I got a piece of 4-inch rectangular tube here. I don't know how long it is, it's plenty long. And you can see we got a good thickness there, and then we've got some 2-inch square tube, and this stuff is even thicker yet. I don't remember what the thicknesses are here, but oh my god, that's heavy. That's thicker than the rectangular tube. So I think that would be enough steel for us to, gonna use this bigger guy over here going across, and then we'll use the smaller 2x2 to go back and make some braces one way or the other. We'll have to see how it all pans out. But right now what we need to do is get this one rectangular piece cut down so it fits in there. All right, guys, I think the plan is coming together. You saw we got this 4-inch channel cut. I've got all kinds of plywood, 2x, 6x holding it up, but I think we're about where we want to be. Obviously, when this gets welded in, we're going to have an angle on it, kind of like that. But I think we're about the height we want to be. We've got 8 inches of clearance under there, so that's a good amount of clearance. The front's got about 10. You know, that front bar there's got about 10, but realistically, I mean, that's a lot of material coming out the back, and this plate is actually going to hang down some anyway in the center, so we'll probably lose a little of that anyway, but we can't have it up too high because we got to support the plate. So I think we're going to go with that. Well, things have gone downhill. This may be the end of me making YouTube videos. I don't know. I'm on my phone right now. GoPro, the battery died. Whatever, no big deal. I had another one with me. But the end of this battery that was in the camera, this is the end of it. And it's supposed to have a little pull tab on it, like this one. Well, the pull tab pulled off of this battery, and then the end of the battery pulled off. That's the second one in, I don't know, 2 weeks that's done that. I had 3 batteries. Now I'm down to 1. They are a couple years old. I did get some use out of them. They're not like brand new. So I was able to get the battery out of the camera. It wasn't too difficult. But now, stupid. The SIM card, you can see how it's kind of popped out. The SIM card will not stay in there now. It just goes in and it pops it right back out. So whatever little spring-loaded mechanism is in there, I fiddled around with it for 20 minutes trying to see what was going on, tried a few different things. So now this camera is useless. The battery will go in and it will turn on, but the SIM card doesn't stay in there. So that's wonderful. I absolutely hate filming on my phone. I don't have any stuff, tripods, holders, anything for my phone. I don't like the footage on it unless you're standing absolutely still. It's shaky and I can't stand that. So unfortunately, the rest of this video, I'm going to have to just show you pieces of what I'm doing because I have to get this project done. I can't wait, to figure something out. So I will just kind of show you as I go what we're going to do. So I can't show you any welding because I have no way to hold up my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip this piece forward a little bit and we'll get it tacked in there kind of where it's going to be. Got some more welding done on this. I still have to weld the back side. I'm going to leave the bottom open underneath in case there's any moisture that accumulates in there. But I got the the top and this side done. And I just cleaned the metal and shot a quick coat of primer on there because I'm getting ready to kind of fit this quick attach plate on there. So that surface that I put the primer on is going to be completely covered. So I just figured, hey, if I throw the primer in there, maybe there's less chance it's going to rust because this is already painted. I will have to grind a line of paint off there wherever I'm going to weld. But yeah, so right now I'm waiting for that primer to dry. Then I'm going to start kind of fitting that into position, maybe balance it on the forks there. and then try and kind of get some tacks on that to get it on there and see how it's going to fit. And then after that, once we kind of get it fit and tacked on, I'll do a little bit of welding on it, and then maybe we'll actually yeah, I don't know if we should try and pick the unit up yet or not without the extra braces, so we'll see. But now I'm watching paint dry. Making some progress here. I got a line there and one over there somewhere where this plate needs to be centered, and I had it stood up, and you can see where I ground the paint off. That's where the weld, I probably won't weld it completely solid all the way across, but that's where the weld's going to be. So now I am ready to stand it up and start doing some welding in the middle. What I'm going to have to do is weld, do some tacks across the middle. What I found out when I stood this up was that the center of this plate actually bows out. So the center touches and the two ends do not touch. So I'll have to tack that onto there. And then I grabbed a C-clamp. I might need more than that. And I will have to then clamp the side and weld it, and then go to the other side, clamp it and weld it. Hopefully that'll work. Hopefully it's just kind of a bubble in the middle, and I can just clamp it out. So that's what we're going to do now, stand her up and try and get some welding done on it. Okay, got a couple passes. You can actually see them right there. So this is now, the weld is supporting it. I'm going to try and get in here and kind of show you. So we got a couple passes right in there. We're still going to put probably 2 more on there. We're going to let it cool down a bit, and we're going to start welding over here. You can see I got the C-clamp, and the C-clamp pulled it perfectly closed. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that long guy there. I don't know what that is. That's probably 8-9 inches there. So I'm going to do that one in the middle. I'm going to do another one about that length over here, and another one over there, and we'll have 2 blank spots. I'm not going to weld it solid all the way across. So that's where we're at. We'll weld that side and then come down here and hopefully be able to clamp this and pull it closed, and then we'll weld down the edges. I still have to take the paint off here a little bit. We'll weld down the edges, and probably should end up flipping this thing over and at least doing a few welds, at least in 2 places on the bottom. And then we still have this 2x2 heavy wall tube that we will end up coming from here somewhere. I don't know if we'll come down to here, but we're going to support basically right where the skid steer ends up. Right in here is where the skid steer connects. So that's the area that we want to take a support down, maybe to here or somewhere. We'll see. But I got to keep welding on this for a while. Well, we got it upside down here now. So I got a lot of the welding done on the other side, but I have some other welding to do in here. And then of course on this back side, the bottom here, some welding there. And this side is touching. That side is touching, but the middle is still bowed out here on the bottom side. So I got to try to see if I have a clamp big enough to go down over that. But that's where we're at right now. It's semi-welded on there, but just got to keep welding. And if anybody was curious what the underside of one of these looks like, there you go. Well, it's the next day. I pretty much got all the welding done on all of this section of stuff here. There's still a lot of slag and things I need to clean up with the wire brush on the welds. But I think in the previous clip yesterday I had the thing flipped over and was welding up underneath. So that's done. So what I got to do now is take this 2x2 material and come in here, and we got to go from there over to this bar, I believe, just to support the top of that plate. And then I think the welding, the structural part of this will be done, I think. Well, I'm making some progress here. Here's the 2 pieces. I'm going to trip and fall. there's the piece that I had before. I went and looked, and I actually had some shorter ones I was able to cut down. You can see I have some primer on the ends there, and some holes in it. So what I decided to do after I was thinking about, hey, I should have made this whole thing bolt-on instead of welding it on. I mean, that would have been welded, but that bar, I could have made it so it bolted on. So what I decided to do is sort of a hybrid of that idea. Since this is already welded, these bars are going to come from up here where this strong edge is, down and bolt right through that hole right there. So there'll be one on each side. And what I did, obviously I drilled the holes, and what I did was I just put some primer on the inside edge that's going to bump up in there, that won't be able to be painted after I assemble it. So that's where we're at there. We're waiting for that primer to dry so that I can get these bolted and then start doing some welding on them up there. But yeah, so at least half of it, you know, if I decide to take it off or something changes, at least those two won't be welded on. They'll be able to come off easy, and then I just have the welds there. So as soon as that stuff dries, we'll start bolting these together and weld them on. Well, I'm quitting for today. We should hopefully finish up the fabrication of this tomorrow afternoon. I just kind of been working on this in the evenings. So I did get, you can see some bolts are in here. I have the correct diameter bolt, but I need ones that are a 1/2 inch longer. I was able to get a nut on there just to hold it and snug it down, but if you can see, it's a little bit too short. So I need a 1/2 inch longer on those. And you can see here I did get a weld on each of those. So what I need to do is swap out with the correct bolts. And then this angle is kind of hard to weld at, so I'm going to just end up standing this thing back up so I can get in there a little bit better. I don't have to be a contortionist. So a couple welds on each of those and the new bolts, and the fabrication portion of this should be done. Well, I just finished the last welds around the edges and up underneath on both of these guys. We've got new bolts that are the correct size, lock washer, nut, all of that's tightened down. So I think all the welding's done, unless I missed a little spot here or there. And I picked up the second set of blades that are going to go on this unit, so I will have 2 going each direction. You can see there's some holes here and holes here, so we'll add the 2. So we'll have 2 blades each direction, so if you want to use it forward or backward, you'll be all set. So now what I need to do is let this down and start checking over my welds and see if I missed anything. And if not, maybe we'll go out and just give it a little test run.